Why is NASCAR failing? They're not putting fans in the seats, they're not filling up the campgrounds, and their broadcast ratings are falling. We can go back in time and actually pinpoint the moment that NASCAR started to take off and become very, very popular. It was during the 1979 Daytona 500. Going down the backstretch on the white flag for the win was Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough. They came together and wrecked. And Richard Petty came around and won the race. And then after the checkered flag fell, you can see on the backstretch Donnie Allison and Cale Yarborough fighting, along with Donnie's brother Bobby stopped, and they had a big fight on the backstretch. And if you know anything about NASCAR's history, everybody talks about this was the moment that catapulted NASCAR into a nationwide sport. Now, it did take quite a few years for it to build up. It didn't just happen overnight. It took some time, and eventually what happened was it got to the point that tracks were putting more and more seats in because they were selling out all the time. I remember going to races when there's people standing out and asking for tickets, just paying ridiculous prices for different races. And now you can just walk up to a track, and in some cases, I personally know NASCAR has been giving tickets away so that the grandstands look full. So what happened? Why is there this decline in NASCAR? Well, like I said, you can go back and point to when NASCAR started to take off, and I can go and point to a spot that NASCAR started to fall, the fail of NASCAR. And it was during the 2012 Daytona 500. It was late, and it was been raining all day. They got a very late start, and I believe it was on the second lap. Juan Pablo Montoya come out of the pits, lost control of his car, hit the jet dryer, and it burst into flames. And it took a while to get the fire out, and there was this huge spot in the pavement that they had to fix. And needless to say, the race was delayed even more. And there was a driver by the name of Brad Keselowski who happened to have his cell phone in his driver's uniform. Now, today that sounds very normal, but back then this was an oddity. And he started, while he was in the car on the track, he was tweeting. And he was just tweeting to fans. And fans were tweeting back. And it went back and forth, and it exploded. Twitter just exploded. But no one knew about this until the next day. NASCAR got wind of it, and they were furious that a driver had a cell phone in his uniform in the car. Now, I don't know if drivers still do that today. I know NASCAR did. Right after that race, they said no more cell phones in cars. Now, may have changed that. But the point is, Brad Keselowski opened up NASCAR to Twitter. And the NASCAR officials, the head-ups, the whoever you want to call them, the people in charge of NASCAR, looked at this number of people that Brad Keselowski was interacting with in Twitter, and the dollar signs just came pouring in. They said to themselves, look at all these people that we don't even have coming to the track. We need to go after these people. This is the future of NASCAR. And what NASCAR did is what Anheuser-Busch is feeling right now. NASCAR didn't stay true to their core fans. I know because I went to a lot of races. My first race was in 1977, and I followed NASCAR racing way before that, even when some of the Cup drivers came out to a racetrack called Heidelberg Speedway in Carnegie, PA, near Pittsburgh. That's the track we used to go to, and we have movies of the Bobby Allison and Buck Baker and other drivers coming out to our little rinky-dink track. But we had followed NASCAR for a long time. So what NASCAR did was started going after, like I said, these Twitter fans. Well, who are these Twitter people? Well, they were the younger and next generation that really didn't know that much about racing, and they were the digital age. So NASCAR decided we're going to go after them. And it took some time, started some phasing. The first thing I noticed was that NASCAR was good old boys and country music. That's pure and pure what NASCAR was. I mean, Marty Robbins used to race when he'd get a chance. But NASCAR, for some reason, decided that they wanted this bad boy image and they wanted rock and roll. So that's what they gravitated to. So that kind of upset the core fans that have been going to NASCAR. They're changing the music, they're changing the feel of NASCAR, and then they literally started to, I don't want to say turn away, but they turned their backs on the core NASCAR fans. Again, I know my mom and dad followed the circuit in the 1990s. So much so that my mom became a part-time employee for Robert Yates Racing on their souvenir truck. And we got to know a lot of people, drivers, crew chiefs, crew members, just people that worked on the souvenir trailers, truck drivers, bus drivers. We got to know a lot of people, and we kind of got some of the inside information. So NASCAR just started pushing us away. My mom had season tickets for certain tracks, sat in these seats all the time, and she was notified that you no longer can get your seat. We're moving your seat. And if you're lucky, we'll put two of your seats together somewhere, but you're going to be way out there because we've got this other group of up-and-coming fans, and we want to give them these prime seats. Then what NASCAR started to do was you had to get not only the first race, but the second race at the same track, you had to purchase both of those tickets. So now your money was tied up. You had to buy both of those tickets for those races. Then they decided, well, you have to buy these seats a year in advance. Then they started where you have to buy, at that time it was Busch, the Busch Series and the Cup Series, both of those tickets for one weekend, and both of those tickets in the fall also. So NASCAR, or whoever is in controlling it, they just got greedy. That's clear to see that they just got greedy, and all of the core fans, all the fans that had been going to the races and going to the campgrounds and everything, they were getting pushed out. NASCAR was catering to the new generation because they felt that that's where racing is going to be. And they said, the heck with the old generation, they'll be there no matter what. This is going to be the future of NASCAR. And they built their image around those fans who we knew what was going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years. Those fans were going to fall off the wayside. Yeah, there's some that still, decided that they liked the racing, but the next greatest, best thing they went on to, and now you're left with whatever fans are left. And then when you turn to go to the core fans, they're not coming back because NASCAR made such an enemy with them, they wouldn't have anything to do with them. NASCAR also controls everything. So during the races, you have the souvenir trailers. And what NASCAR was doing, this was common practice, every trailer that came into the compound, they had to give a flat rate. I'm not going to say what the rate was, but it was in the thousands of dollars that each souvenir trailer had to pay NASCAR. And then once each souvenir trailer brought in so much money to a certain point, they then had to pay NASCAR a percentage over that. So it was not only were the souvenir trailers paying a flat rate to the NASCAR tracks, but then they were paying a percentage over what was set, and there was a lot of money coming in there. And NASCAR was bringing in a lot of money. So much money that I'm not going to say what team, but one NASCAR team had fallen on some tough times because of a driver injury, and the sponsorship money wasn't coming in, and they were paying all of their bills every week just off of the souvenir money. That's how much money was coming in. And NASCAR decided that we need to expand the races. We need to pull the races away from the southern areas where NASCAR was born and where everybody went to all the races, but we need to pull some of those races and go to venues that we've never been to before, because we have to make it available to more fans. Not to grow this, well, to grow the sport, yes, but not in the way that you think NASCAR would want. To expand the sport so more fans could see the racing. That was, yes, but there was an ulterior motive. The problem was in the South, there are so many race fans, and they would all come to the races, and everybody had their souvenirs. So when you went to a southern racetrack, the souvenir sales weren't that much as to if you would go to a Chicago, a Las Vegas, or Arizona, where NASCAR only comes maybe once a year, and they haven't been in that area for a long time or never. So you've got all these new fans flocking to buy all these souvenirs, and that's why NASCAR went to all these different tracks and spread it across the country. Yes, to spread it out so more people would get to know what NASCAR is all about, but also for more fans to buy souvenirs. It's always about the money. NASCAR also then started to gravitate towards the corporate sponsorships for the cars, because I remember when the very first non-racing sponsorship came to NASCAR to sponsor a car. It was Tide for the Darrell Waltrip car, and it was a record amount of $1 million to fund the team for a year, and that was just unheard of back then. And once Tide came in, and other corporations saw that, hey, we don't have to have ties with racing. As a matter of fact, if we have a product that racing has nothing to do with it, this is a whole group of people that we can introduce our product to. So more and more corporations started coming in and just pouring all this money in, which in turn gave the corporations the ability to go to NASCAR and say, hey, we don't like the image of drivers saying or doing this, or we don't like the image of that. We want this to change. We don't want cheating anymore. That's the whole aspect of racing. If anybody from the 60s, 70s, early 80s, that's about it, from that time period, racing is cheating. That is what racing is all about. It is looking at the rules, seeing how you can work around them, and the penalty for cheating and getting caught, yeah, you're going to get fined, but it's the shame that you got caught. That was the whole thing. I mean, look at the innovation that happened in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s. There are stories galore. But now, oh my gosh, if you happen to misspell the name on one of your sponsor stickers, you're going to get fined for, some kind of wrong competition, something. I don't know. NASCAR would make a rule for it. Don't worry about it. So to wrap it all up, the reason that NASCAR is in the decline and the reason NASCAR is failing is they alienated their core fans. You don't see golf, football, basketball, baseball pushing out their old fans and bringing brand new fans in the hopes that they will stay. No, what happens with those sports is the people, the core fans, the people who've been going to those sporting events for years and years, bring friends, bring family members, and that's how everything grows. But NASCAR got greedy, and they just saw the dollar signs right over here, and they ran to them, and they said, the heck with you regular fans. We don't want to have anything to do with you. You're in the past. You're behind times. We're going to go to the future. Well, you know what, NASCAR? Look what the future holds for you. You didn't stick with your fans, and you're getting what you deserve.